What if I told you that you could plant a garden today that will still be feeding your great-grandchildren 100, 200, or even 300 years from now? Most gardeners are trapped in an exhausting cycle of buying seeds, tilling the soil, and replanting every single spring. But today, you're going to break that cycle forever. We're diving into the world of immortal crops, 10 incredible perennials that don't just survive. They grow stronger, deeper, and more productive with every passing decade. We're not just talking about a backyard garden. We're talking about building a centuries-old food legacy that provides ultimate security for your family. You might already know a few, but number 4 and number 9 are complete game changers that almost no one is talking about. Are you ready to stop gardening for the season and start gardening for eternity? Let's dive in. 10 Siberian Pea Shrub. If your soil is dead, your survival is impossible. Most gardeners focus only on what they can eat, but the experts focus on what feeds the earth. Enter the Caragana arborescens. This isn't just a hedge, it's a biological fertilizer factory. In a long-term crisis where you can't buy a bag of nitrogen at the store, this plant literally pulls nutrition for your other crops out of thin air. This shrub is a beast in zones 2 through 7, thriving in climates so harsh they would kill almost any other vegetable. Growing up to 12 feet tall, it creates a living fence that survives temperatures down to -40 degrees Fahrenheit. But here is the real kicker. It produces massive amounts of small pea-like seeds that are packed with protein. You can cook them like lentils or grind them into flour. It feeds you, it fixes your soil, and it provides a windbreak for your more delicate plants. It's the backbone of a self-sustaining food forest. You plant a row of these once, and you've secured a protein source and soil fertility for over 50 years without ever buying fertilizer again. 9 Sea Kale. Stop babying annuals that die at the first sign of stress. You need Sea Kale Cram Maritima, the ultimate triple threat perennial for zones 4 through 8. While others waste money on seeds every spring, Sea Kale provides a continuous gourmet harvest for over 15 years from a single planting. The productivity is staggering. A mature plant yields up to 8 pounds of food per season across 3 distinct crops. In early spring, harvest buttery shoots that rival asparagus. Mid-season, gather nutrient-dense leaves similar to hardy cabbage. Finally, enjoy flower buds that taste exactly like sweet broccoli. 10 plants can pump out 80 pounds of fresh produce annually with zero tilling. It thrives in poor, rocky soil where other crops wither. It's not just a plant. It's a permanent high-yield food station that turns your neglect into a feast. Have you ever tried a vegetable that tastes like 3 different things? If you had to choose between fresh asparagus, cabbage, or broccoli for your survival garden, which one is your priority? Let me know in the comments. 8 Jerusalem Artichoke. In a long-term survival scenario, calories are your true currency. While most people depend on finicky potatoes that require tilling-hilling and constant protection from blight, the experts plant Jerusalem artichokes, sunchokes. Thriving in zones 3 through 9, this is the most aggressive, high-yielding calorie crop on the planet. The numbers are mind-blowing. 1 small tuber planted in the spring can explode into a massive 15-pound harvest by winter. But here is the magic. For survivalists, you don't need a pantry or a root cellar. The soil is your natural refrigerator. These tubers stay fresh and crisp underground even through a deep freeze. Just dig them up whenever you're hungry. Growing over 10 feet tall with stunning sun-like blooms, they act as a natural privacy screen while building a massive food bank beneath your feet. They are drought-proof, pest-proof, and virtually immortal. They provide a nutty, sweet crunch and essential prebiotics to keep your gut healthy when other food sources are compromised. 7 Asparagus. When winter stores run thin and your body is screaming for fresh nutrients, most gardeners are still waiting for their seeds to sprout. But not you. If you have asparagus established in zones 3 through 8, you have a first responder that delivers life-saving vitamins A, C, and K while the ground is still thawing. Asparagus is the ultimate long-term investment. While it requires patience, taking 2 to 3 years to fully establish once it hits its stride, a single bed can produce for 20 to 30 years. Imagine planting a crop today that your grandchildren will still be harvesting. A small 4 by 10 foot patch can yield 20 pounds of tender spears every single season. It's a nutrient powerhouse that emerges exactly when you need it most, the hunger gap of early spring. Once mulched, it's virtually maintenance-free. If you want to build a food forest that lasts a lifetime instead of just a season, you need to be here. Hit that subscribe button right now. Don't miss out on the strategies that will keep your family fed when the supermarket shelves go cold. 6. Rhubarb. If you're looking for a plant that can survive a nuclear winter and still ask for more, you're looking for rhubarb. Thriving in zones 3 through 8. This isn't just a plant for pies, it's a perennial powerhouse. Rhubarb is one of the few crops that actually gets stronger the more you ignore it, producing thick, nutrient-dense stalks for over 20 years. But here is the insider secret that most gardeners miss. Rhubarb is a double-edged sword for survival. While you eat the stalks for a massive hit of vitamin K and calcium, those giant fan-like leaves are your best friend in the field. Because they are high in oxalic acid, they act as a natural herbicide. Lay them around your other plants, and they will smother weeds and retain soil moisture better than any store-bought mulch. In a world where you can't buy supplies, rhubarb provides both the food and the infrastructure to keep your soil fertile. One crown can pump out 10 pounds of produce every year, regardless of how harsh the weather gets. Wait, if you think these first 5 were impressive, the top 3 on this list are the ones that actually saved civilizations from starvation. Number 1 is a plant almost nobody grows today, yet it has more protein than a potato and fixes your soil while you sleep. Stick around, because you cannot afford to miss that one. 5. Chives. Imagine it's year 2 of a global supply chain collapse. You're sitting at your table staring at another bowl of plain, unseasoned beans. It's nutritious, but it's gray, bland, and soul-crushing. This is where most people give up, not from hunger, but from the sheer exhaustion of a life without joy. Then you walk outside to a neglected corner of your yard. While your neighbor's annual onions died out months ago, your chives are thriving in zones 3 through 9. You snip a handful of these vibrant green stalks, and suddenly that gray bowl of beans is transformed into a savory onion-scented meal. Chives are nearly immortal. They require 0 tilling, 0 fertilizer, and they spread into a permanent flavor bank every year. But they are more than a spice. They are your frontline medics. Rich in sulfur and antioxidants, they act as a natural immune booster when pharmacies are empty and doctors are unavailable. They protect your heart fight inflammation and keep your spirits high when things look dark. 4. Perennial Kale. Most people view kale as a seasonal crop. You plant seeds, harvest a few leaves, and then it bolts and dies. But in zones 7 through 10, certain varieties like tree collards or sea kale's cousins are woody shrub-like perennials that produce edible greens for 5 to 10 years straight. This is a massive survival advantage. Leafy greens are the first thing to disappear in a crisis, yet they are essential for vitamins A, C, and K. While annual greens require constant replanting and protection, perennial kale stands tall, often reaching 6 to 8 feet in height. It provides a constant year-round supply of fresh, nutrient-dense foliage that can be harvested leaf by leaf without killing the plant. It is incredibly easy to propagate. You don't even need seeds. Just take a cutting stick in moist soil and it roots in weeks. You plant one today, and by next year, you have an unlimited supply of fresh multivitamins growing right outside your door. It survives heat, resists pests better than annual varieties, and produces even when your traditional garden fails. 3. Good King Henry. If you've ever grown annual spinach, you know the frustration it grows for a few weeks, feels a hint of heat, and immediately bolts to seed. It's a crop of the past. For a 300-year food strategy in zones 3 through 9, you need Good King Henry Blittum, Bonus Henricus. This European heirloom was a staple in monastery gardens for centuries because it simply refuses to quit. This plant is a nutritional powerhouse, yielding tender succulent leaves that are richer in iron and minerals than store-bought spinach. While annual crops demand perfect conditions, Good King Henry thrives in partial shade and poor soil. It emerges from the frozen ground in early spring and keeps producing until the hard frosts of winter. One planting provides a continuous harvest for 10 years or more. In the spring, you can even harvest the young shoots and steam them like asparagus. It is the ultimate set it and forget it green. It doesn't need your help to survive. It just needs a small corner of earth to start building a permanent vitamin reserve for your family. Don't just watch this take action. Go find a reputable heirloom seed supplier right now and search for Good King Henry. These seeds sell out fast as more people wake up to the reality of food instability. Get yours before they become impossible to find. 2 walking onions. Most onions are a massive headache. You plant a bulb, wait months, pull it out, and then you're left with nothing. But walking onions, also known as Egyptian walking onions, are different. They don't just grow, they migrate. Thriving in zones 3 through 10, this is quite possibly the easiest food source you will ever own. Instead of flowers, this plant grows clusters of small bulbils at the top of its stalks. As these clusters get heavy, the stalk bends over, hits the ground, and the bulbils immediately take root. The plant literally walks across your garden, replanting itself year after year without any help from you. The productivity is endless. You can eat the spicy green stalks like scallions, use the pungent shallot-like bulbs at the base, or harvest the tiny top bulbs for pickling. You plant 10 of these today, and in 3 years, you'll have hundreds. They are winter-hardy, pest-resistant, and provide fresh, savory nutrition even when the ground is partially frozen. If you're tired of being a slave to your garden, you need a plant that does the work for you. Share this video with someone who thinks gardening is too much work. Let's show them how easy true food security can be. 1 groundnut. We've reached the holy grail of perennial gardening. If you could only plant one thing to survive an absolute collapse, it's Groundnut Apios americana. Native to North America and hardy in zones 3 through 9. This vine was a primary food source for indigenous peoples and early settlers, yet it is almost entirely forgotten today. Why is it number 1? Because it solves the 2 biggest problems in a survival garden: protein and soil fertility. Unlike potatoes, which are mostly starch, groundnut tubers contain up to 17% protein. That's nearly 3 times the protein of a potato. They taste like a delicious cross between a potato and a roasted nut. Even better, groundnut is a legume. It has a symbiotic relationship with bacteria that allows it to fix nitrogen from the air into the soil. It literally fertilizes itself and the plants around it while it grows. You can harvest the tubers in any season, and because they grow like beads on a string underground, They are incredibly easy to find and dig up. One vine can produce a massive web of food that stays viable for years. This is the ultimate secret to a garden that feeds you forever. You've seen the list, now it's time to build your fortress. Go back and rewatch if you missed any zones. Building a self-sustaining garden isn't about back-breaking labor. It's about partnering with nature. These 10 perennials are more than just crops. They are your biological insurance policy, working silently to secure your family's future. Imagine a life where food is always ready regardless of inflation or supply chain collapses. That is true freedom. If you're ready to stop being a slave to your garden and start growing a legacy, hit the like button to help this mission reach more people. Most importantly, subscribe and turn on notifications. In my next video, I'll show you how to design a lazy garden layout that maximizes these high-yield crops in any small space. Thank you for watching. It's time to stop worrying and start planting. I'll see you in the next one as we turn your backyard into a permanent paradise.